All right, hello everyone, and now welcome to part 2 of this cast. Gonna go ahead and unpause things. Took a little bit of a nap there to hopefully keep myself together. Now, you can see that WFZ has a fair number of destroyers. Those destroyers definitely going to cause problems, especially since we are really lacking any anti-air. Yumiko quickly realizing his mistake, going to be trying to set up these workshops. But will they get stopped? Now, Yumiko has a very small window of opportunity to actually get enough units here. And now, what is the Undead going to do? The Undead could try and clear out some of these red creep camps. No, the red are rock golems, so they are actually the worst possible places to go. Meanwhile, the Spellbreakers are actually in a good spot here. Blood Mage and Mountain King trying to fight back here. That one poor Spellbreaker taking far too much damage, as the rock golems are doing normal damage here. Over here to the top left, Destroyer is going to go ahead and finish things off. The Lich should have really led an attack into the into the base here. Flying machines now being added, and that is going to be just the tip of the iceberg there, as flying machines being added are going to really change things up. The Lich now has the Claws of Attack +6, Orb of Corruption, Circle of Nobility, very high damage across the board, as we are now going into the attacks. Oh, flying machines were able to escape. That's why you don't just straight up attack the building, you attack the area, and then you reprioritize on the necessary target. 2 flying machines were able to get away. We'll see what's going to be happening there. Are we perhaps going to get some web? No web down, as there's even a frost worm in the mix. Anti-magic shell to make sure that the storm bolts do not stun them, as one workshop will get taken down. Another flying machine is able to escape, so there is now a total of 5 flying machines up against the 4 destroyers, but that is not going to work out well. All right, there goes a poor unit there. More flying machines are trying to make their way out. No web. Oh, there is the web, and that is going to be some quick takedown there. More flying machines being added. Are they going to get webbed down? That's a lot more than I thought there was going to be, as the Destroyer siphon mana Stormbolt onto the Death Knight. Frostworm now trying to get away. Death Coil does do a little bit of the save there, as we see the Frostworm turns around. That additional Frost Armor really helping there, as the flying machines are just flying from every which way. All right, Lich is doing his best job trying to save everyone else. Death Coil should be coming in. There it goes for the save there, as the units are now training around a fight. A very long, drawn-out battle here, as Storm Bolts are not going to be hitting their targets. All right, Destroyer is now coming back the other way, going up. Storm Bolt, Death Knight now going to be saved there, going after the flying machines. Another flying machine. Frostworm down to 42 hit points and survives. All right, let's take a look at this. Siphon mana into the Mountain King. Mountain King sitting at level 5. Level 3 Stormbolt. Haunted Goldmine over here on the top left will quickly get spotted and most likely get cancelled, as a flying machine did catch this. Free experience, as the Acolytes who serve the Undead now getting taken down. All right, Haunted Goldmine actually not canceled, as the army now making their way back over. Destroyers coming in. Oh, take down the Goblin Shredder. That Goblin Shredder not going to really stand a chance, as the Death Knight able to slip through here. Not quite sure how. Destroyers now trying to make their way through. Death Knight now up to level 5, trying to get the fight on Blight is the key point here, as we are now fighting. All right, are we going to take down some of those Goblin Shredders? No, the flying machines are the priority target, and they were taken down. Meanwhile, Haunted Goldmine, now with 4 Acolytes there, no more mining in the main bases, and on either side, so it is now 1 base to 1 base. All right, some easy experience there. Frostworm with anti-magic shell, moving around really quickly. Death Knight only with level 1 Unholy Aura, not level 2, as it makes sure to keep the army a little bit closer together. Units now making their way over. Are we going to see a little minion now running around over here? Banshees do have mastery training, so we could try and steal some knights if we actually get there. Yumiko does have a Watcher Ward here, sees that things are up, and there is a little bit of attack there. All right, Dark Ranger seeing that level 4 Stormbolt onto the Death Knight. Death Knight did get stunned there, but didn't take that much damage. However, he might get surrounded. He's able to slip through, a very big slip there, as we don't see any abominations. That might be the big problem. Stormbolt onto the Lich. Lich now in serious trouble. Death Knight comes in with the Death Coil. Is he going to be able to transfer the Scroll of Town portal? No Scroll of Town portal to transfer, as the Lich is able to survive, and now going after the Blood Mage. What is going on? on there. Lich now gets taken down. Finally, Lich falls as the destroyers are going to be going after some more flying machines here. No, not going after the flying machines. Dark Ranger now on the run as the destroyers can just turn around, just hit the right targets, and you're going to be fine. There goes 2 flying machines right off the bat. Banish onto the Frostworm as the destroyers could actually just eat that Banish and probably do a good job there. Death Knight now on the run all the way back home. Dark Ranger sitting at level 4. Not quite sure. Went for silence. I haven't even seen that many lesser minions anywhere on the map as the destroyers are now going to be trying to eat and take apart the Blood Mage. The Blood Mage pretty much out of mana, or not out of mana, out on the run. The Mountain King with the Boots of Speed able to get away fairly easily. There's a Siphon mana away. Why? Oh, he didn't want to stick around that fight for very, very long. As you can see, now the Frostworm is back out. All right, Spellbreaker is going to make their way over here to the top left. There is nothing to protect this expansion as the Spellbreakers are just pretty much immune to the main types of damage that are currently available. Banshee now out as well. Crypt Fiend being added. New hero being resurrected, but that Lich is going to be in a little bit of time. Ziggurat now trying to be added as we see one Acolyte now getting taken down. Are you really going to try and engage against all these units here as the Banshees are out? Dark Ranger taking a lot of damage here, not really benefiting at all as the feedback damage almost ripping apart a Banshee who just stood a little bit too close. Meanwhile, the Destroyers now going after the Blood Mage. Both sides just pretty much trying to go in their own separate ways. And oh, the Flying Machine trying to take down the Frostworm. Frostworm does get taken down. Level 6 now on the Mountain King. And we are going to see the Avatar. That Mountain King gonna get so much stronger. Meanwhile, Spellbreakers attempting to take down this haunted gold mine on the top left. Looks like there's gonna be nothing to really stop it. Lich now coming out through the field. Flying Machine will be able to get away as you see these Flying Machines slipping back over. Haunted gold mine now completely down as the Death Knight is gonna be forced to try and creep out this creep camp here. All right, Obsidian Statues, plenty of hit points, no Abominations, and I can't stress this enough. Without Abominations, I'm not really sure that these Spellbreakers are going to get stopped ever. Goblin Shredders, maybe. Death Knight able to do a little bit here. Lich now back out onto the field with plus 15 damage, and yeah, the Spellbreakers are going to be the main heroes of this fight. All right, Destroyers attempting to take down some of those flying machines here. They are taking a little bit of damage. Dark Ranger now right there. You can see a little bit of damage. Avatar now comes in. Stormbolt. All right, Death Knight now losing a fair bit of mana. Where is that Lich? Lich could try and do a Frost Nova onto a unit here. Spellbreakers are now just tearing apart through the Dark Rangers as the Destroyers are now trying to fight back here. There's a Death Coil to save a low hit point unit there. Dark Ranger has fallen at level 4 as the Lich is in a little bit of trouble as well, standing right next to the Avatar. Mountain King now making its way forward, stormbolting onto the Lich. Lich gets taken down as well, and WFZ is now pretty much up against the ropes in a very, very dangerous spot. However, the Death Knight will he be able to finish off the Blood Mage? Blood Mage does have a potion of invulnerability and is now able to slip away. Death Knight probably wishes he has Unholy Aura level 2 right now in order to quickly escape, as the Peasants are now doing that walk of shame to come back down over here as Yumiko is now out of gold. Both sides unable to mine from a creep camp that they want to creep. And meanwhile, the Blood Mage going to be able to get some extra mana here. Are we going to see a Stormbolt? That is the key question. Stormbolt taking down one unit. All right, going after the Blood Mage. Blood Mage in a little bit of trouble. Spellbreakers now making their way over. Banshee is going to end up taking a little bit of feedback damage if he's not careful. Bash onto an Obsidian Statue as the Obsidian Statue needs to now get away. Obsidian Statue gets destroyed. No absorbed mana from those Destroyers. That was a bit of a surprise as WFZ still losing more units. All right, Walk of Shame from Yumiko, doing that long distance walk up and down the coast. That is not going to be an efficient way to grab any gold. And we are now at 28 supply compared to 46. I think we all know what's going to slowly happen here. Yumiko going to be able to take this game, but it may be a long, drawn-out fight, as Yumiko doesn't want to risk any really dangerous situation. All right, let's take a look. Lich now getting summoned. The Acolytes may be able to start unsummoning some other buildings. That is going to be a key point here. One Destroyer trying to finish off that Mountain King there. That Mountain King still taking a bit of damage. However, the Destroyer is still doing a good job just eating away at that Mountain King's health. But the Mountain King, with those boots of speed, has really been able to just run and outrun that Mountain King fairly quickly. Spellbreakers now making their way back down as we now see another round of that Walk of Shame to the top left-hand side of the map. As we are looking at the Destroyers, where are they going? The Destroyers perhaps looking to figure out if there is any other places to really fight. All right, Death Knight here, Obsidian Statue, Spirit Tower, Lich making its way out. There is some attacks back. Stormbolt onto the Death Knight. Death Knight now in a little bit of trouble, needs to get away. And what is happening here? Anti-magic shell as the Mountain King is taking a lot of piercing damage. Obsidian Statue now wandering around here as you see siphon mana back into that Mountain King. Mountain King back up to 226 hit points now, as the Mountain King now was getting slowed down significantly. Banshee down to 36 mana. Oh, there was a banish onto that Banshee. That Banshee is pretty much immune to damage right now, except for any magic damage. Meanwhile, over here, the Destroyers were trying to go do some creeping. That was a bad idea, as the Death Knight trying to figure out what exactly could be done. All right, Death Knight now following around the map here. You can see the Blood Mage and the Mountain King, both very, very weak heroes. We are only at Keep. That is the reason why we are not at Paladin yet, as the Lich is most likely... Oh, where is the Lich? The Lich now making its way down over here. Oh, Frost Nova onto the Mountain King. Lich, will he be able to get away? That is going to be a huge problem. Siphon mana away. Are we going to get a Death Coil onto the... Oh, Avatar just in time to avoid the Death Coil and get a little bit of bonus hit points as well, as the Blood Mage now taking a little bit of extra damage here. All right, Blood Mage finishes off one Destroyer. That Obsidian Statue didn't even bother to try and heal, as we now see a fight inside the base. 26 over 40 supply. We are now trying to resurrect that Dark Ranger, as the units are now wandering around in a giant circle. All right, Death Knight, anti-magic potion. Is he going to be able to slip through? And he looks like he is able to slip through. Lich, however, now in a little bit of trouble as well. Now trying to slip through as well. What is happening here? He's able to slip down, as the towers are just doing so much damage. The Mountain King may actually end up falling here if it's not careful. Death Coil saves the unit there, and we may see the Mountain King fall. No, 56 hit points, and he does survive. Siphon mana away, trying to take some of the units out, unable to do so. WFZ hangs on ever so barely hangs on, and is now resurrecting that Dark Ranger. All right, Death Knight sitting at level 5, Lich sitting at level 4. They're trying to figure out, Yumiko quickly turns around these peasants, knowing that the peasant, or that the Death Knight, would most likely be heading over there and in a hurry. Mountain King very low on hit points, doesn't have that much gold either, only 100 gold, so perhaps a healing or a scroll of regeneration is the only way to regenerate hit points. Nope, there is a priest out on the field. That priest sees this entire army and knows he has a lot of work to do. Back over here, one flying machine keeping track of this gold mine. Off over here, Death Knight and Lich looking to do a little bit more creeping. What's happening? Why is the units not even fighting back at all? There is one Obsidian Statue doing a little bit of healing there. The Death Knight stealing some experience away from that Lich, but at this point, you cannot afford to leave the Lich alone, as it could get picked off rather quickly. All right, unsummoning more buildings. WFZ now pretty much out of gold. What did he buy another item or something? He unsummoned more buildings, and he still doesn't have much to show for it. Lich now has Gloves of Haste, a lot of fast attacking with that Orb of Corruption that could be extremely helpful. The Death Knight and Dark Ranger and Lich, do not count them out just quite yet, as the Mountain King Spellbreakers are now all getting healed back up. This one priest really having a lot of work to do in order to keep his army healthy. 2,700 lumber, 0 gold. But WFZ is still significantly behind in supply by about 19. That is majority army, if you guys did not notice. Flying machine still flying around here. The peasants able to slip forward. There is one shade. However, the shade quickly going to get taken down. Flying machines are still out and able to keep track. WFZ not realizing that the flying machines were pretty much going to spot those shades. and make them relatively useless. All right, let's take a look. Obsidian statue here. There is one Frostworm left. One Frostworm to try and deal with the heroes. Only going after heroes. Don't even bother with the Spellbreakers. But at this point, what can really be done? All right, Yumiko still has this off over here. We are going to be going after more creep camp still. Obsidian statue making its way over, attempting to take down more things here. There goes one. Ring of protection +2, picked up by the Lich. So the Lich is pretty much getting all the items here. Dark Minion now out, and now we have another creep camp on the bottom left. Fly Machine does keep track of this. Death Knight, Dark Ranger, Lich. Lich might actually get to level 5, and if the Lich gets to level 5, that level 3 Frost Nova may actually tip things in favor, as the Mountain King will all of a sudden have a lot more problems. However, the big problem right now is that the Blood Mage has a potion of invulnerability, and the Mountain King's cooldown on Avatar is pretty much up. Death Knight at 5, Lich now, whoa, no, Lich 5 experience away from 5, and that may actually come back to haunt him. A Flying Machine, some other unit kill is going to be the difference on that first Frost Nova or Frost Armor or whatever we're going to be looking at here. The Lich has plenty of Dark Minions for mana, so he'll be able to constantly Dark Ritual as we turn around and see this fight here. All right, Frost Nova onto the Mountain King. Mountain King in a little bit of trouble trying to get away. Blood Mage is silenced as the Frostworm is trying to fight back here. Acolyte now wandering around. Obsidian statues now moving away. This army of Spellbreakers is the big problem, as the Skeletal Minions now coming back the other way to fight back against these units. All right, the Spellbreakers actually afraid of the Dark Minions, and rightfully so, as the Dark Minions do have normal damage against the medium armor. All right, I guess it looks like it's going to be another run away again. Mountain King now up to level 7, gets in a nice solid bash there, as the Lich is at level 5 now. Level 5 Lich. Dark Ranger should get some easy shots in. Death Knight now needs to back off, not able to do very much, as we're looking at superficial damage onto some of the other things here. All right, let's take a look. Frost Armor, Death Coil, Frost Nova, Potion of Invulnerability on the Mountain King was transferred from purchased a new one on the Mountain King there. I thought the Blood Mage had one, didn't even realize the Mountain King had one. All right, there's the Avatar now coming in, and all WFZ can do is run. He cannot afford, as a big giant Stormbolt from the Avatar comes in. All right, Siphon Mana, there is the surround, and that might be the GG, as a big Frost Nova. Oh, what's going to be happening to the Blood Mage? Blood Mage now uses his Potion of Invulnerability. That is 7 seconds of invulnerability there. Is the Frost Nova going to be able to do anything here, as it looks like the Blood Mage may end up getting taken down? No! Frostworm ended up. Oh, Frost Nova there. Lich now in trouble. Gonna go after more units. Dark Ranger still trying to fight back here. Lich in serious trouble. Gonna get taken down, and is now just a Dark Ranger left. Dark Ranger going after units here. Should be able to make more and more lesser Dark Minions. And this army is actually going to turn into a weird fight here. If this Dark Ranger can make her way out down to 106, 152, gonna try to survive here. And no, that is it. One Frost Worm, one Obsidian statue, and a whole bunch of greater Dark Minions now stand in between victory and defeat. Mountain King trying to get away. The time life on these units, just hide underneath a guard tower. The WFZ does not have the ability to freeze those towers, and that is going to be it. 152 gold. WFZ pretty much up the creek without a paddle, and is gonna have to succumb to his fate here in just a moment. All right, a little bit of a good effort by WFZ, but the economic advantage by Yumiko was just far too much. Pretty much a catastrophic mistake by WFZ to not get Abominations earlier. You can see that he is unsummoning now his Great Hall in order to try and get a little bit more here. No, he can't even unsummon. He needs to start training up the hero, and then perhaps cancel the unsummoning now, knowing that if he can cancel that unsummoning, otherwise he's going to be upside down on supply. No, Spellbreakers quickly making their way over, and that is going to be the end of that. No resurrection at the tavern possible, as there's just not enough gold. Down to, I guess, 17 over 20 supply now, and WFZ. Oh, is he going to try and resurrect here? Oh, he is going to try and resurrect at the tavern as a last-ditch effort. Who can he grab? The Lich. The Lich. Why the Lich over the Death Knight? Well, I guess if there's nothing to heal, there's nothing to really useful. All right, let's see. Mountain King now on the run. Lich now making its way over. Let's take a look. There are 2 towers here, and that is it. If the Lich can just hang on, I don't know. That just looks like an absolute mess. Oh, Frostworm trying to get within range to take down that one flying machine, but that Frostworm has taken a fair bit of damage. Oh, the flying machine's going to make its way overhead to the Lich. The Lich might be able to turn it around. Almost takes it down. 2 shots, or 1 more shot. Oh, 1 more shot there. Stormbolt onto the Mountain King by the Mountain King. And that was a huge play there. Potion of Invulnerability, no Obsidian Statue. There's a Frost Armor slowing things up a bit as the Lich turns around, gets in a shot, and now is once again on the run. All right, the Spellbreakers, they are not melee attack. Frost Armor, 3.6 armor. You can see that the Lich is just slowly hovering his way over. A beautiful bash at just the right time there. As, oh, the Lich now surrounded. There's the GG. And that is the end of that. Yumiko takes Game 3. Thank you for watching both parts of this Game 3. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.